Welcome back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. We have another special interview today, and we've got someone who has been in and out of AEW. He's been over here in the UK as well, and I believe he also teaches some wrestling at a wrestling school, that is. We will get into that in a minute. It's Fuego Del Sol. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Thank you so much for taking some of your time to talk to us today. Fuego, first things first, look, we're early into 2025 at the minute. What was your last sort of 12 months like, and what are your goals and aspirations for 2025?
2024, I kind of put a lot of pressure on myself, right? Even going back in 2023, I had broke my foot at the beginning of the year, and right when I got healed up, I got released from AEW in July of 23. And so I feel like those last 6 months of 2023 was me trying to get my footing back up under me, literally and figuratively, getting back in the best shape possible, trying to understand how my body works after my injury. And then so in 2024, I realized, okay, I need to hit the ground running. One of my major goals was to become a regular at GCW. I know if I wasn't going to be signed to a TV company, I needed to be at a spot with some type of national buzz, even though it doesn't have the exposure that an AEW or WWE or TNA might have. It does have some grand exposure on a larger scale, more so than just random indies every weekend. So that was a major goal of mine. I had a major goal of putting on a lot of weight, and so I wanted to really show off my physique and show that this was going to be a different Fuego in 2024. And then lastly, it was to get back on TV somehow, some way. And in June, I got a message saying, "Hey, AEW is coming to Texas for 6 weeks, about a 5 week run. And would you like to be a part of it?" And I said, absolutely. They said Tony Khan specifically asked for me to be there, which was crazy because, a year earlier, that same Tony Khan released me from my contract. So to see the, complete flip of that a year later was crazy. And so I knew I needed to be in the best shape of my life. And I went back and I did, 5 Ring of Honor matches. And I got to return to TV in a match against Roderick Strong on Rampage. And so it felt like things were clicking on all cylinders. I had hit the ground running in GCW. I had got back to TV, which was a major goal of mine. I had really transformed my body. As opposed to having short matches on AEW Dark in the past, 2024 was the year I feel like I really got to show off how good I am when I'm given time in the ring. I feel like if you give me longer than 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes to really go out there and tell my type of story, I will give you an entertaining match every single day of the week. And I got to prove that in a lot of ways. Unfortunately, I really thought I was going to get re-signed to AEW after that run, but we're still in touch. And I got to go back in December and do a dark match, so we're on good terms there. But now the major goals in 2025 is to go to Japan. I really want to do that because in 2024 I got to go to London, one of my first overseas trips, and I got to enjoy a nice UK tour and wrestle in Wales and all over England, and it was a blast. And now Japan is a major goal on my list, as well as winning some gold in GCW. I think that's a major goal of mine. I need to get whether it be tag team championships with Sam Stackhouse or singles gold. I would love to capture something in GCW this year, and it's to re-sign a contract somewhere, whether it be with AEW, whether it be with TNA, whether it be with a WWE, whether it be with New Japan Pro Wrestling, wherever it is, whoever sees the value in Fuego first is where I want to invest my time. I know that's a long-winded answer, and there was a lot of different ways you can go off that, but I at least wanted to give you my full perspective on my year and what I have planned this year.
Now that is very good indeed. So to go back about the injury, because you mentioned there you wanted to get back on the footing. It's quite an interesting one with a foot injury, isn't it? Because there's a lot of stuff that you do in the ring where even like a leapfrog or a step, or if you're jumping over someone that's laying down, there is that compression that lands on the foot. How do you go about rehabilitating that and then getting comfortable? Because it's never really the same after you've had an injury like that in the first place, is it?
Absolutely. And it was the first time I'd ever broke a bone in my life. I played sports growing up all my life, soccer and football, and so many other sports. And, I've been doing flips all my career. And so landing on my foot and breaking it, it was such a a mind-altering injury because I'd never experienced anything like that before, trying to overcome not only the physical hurdles, but the mental hurdles that went along with it was something I was definitely not prepared for. And it was only a 4 month injury, but it felt like 4 years. Just seeing the wrestling world and how fast it moves and everything passing you by. And not being able to walk by yourself or bathe without sitting down or, learning how to rewalk, it was definitely way more challenging than I was expecting. And but luckily, I had a great rehab facility here where I'm from that kind of slowly eased me back into everything, and they challenged me to move in ways that you wouldn't necessarily think to move. Even doing like what we would call toe push-ups, right? Where lifting your toes
Yep.
up and down off the ground over and over again, which would like tire me out. It would physically exhaust me trying to do that because of the strain it would put on my foot. It was just insane to see how breaking a bone can dramatically affect the rest of your body and how different rehab techniques could help fix it. And luckily, I had a great rehab team to slowly get me back into things to eventually be able to jump up and down and deal with that compression and putting weight on it. And I still have, I would say, a very small balance issue if I was trying to stand on one foot or to do pistol squats, which I'm pretty good at. I can definitely tell my left foot, which I didn't break, is stronger and sturdier than my right foot, even to this day, even after a year and a half. But I am thankful to be at 100%, and I know with more rehab and more work, I will be feeling 100%. It doesn't, and luckily with adrenaline, it doesn't affect me in ring.
Yeah, because as I say, in the ring, you get the adrenaline side. But you just mentioned the mental aspect to that. And I want to go back into when you're sort of rehabilitating and you've got to do that, maybe that first flip, that first jump, that first kind of test to see how it is. Was there sort of apprehension? Was there, do you kind of have to block out that sort of stuff to, or it's like, oh, if I jump and I break this again, that's it. Do you have to kind of block that out?
I remember just running the ropes. I put up a video of me running a ropes on
Yeah.
the on my Instagram account because
Yes.
it was like such a hurdle to do that. And then I remember I used to do a moonsault and land on
Yes.
my feet in my entrance and like trying to build up the courage to climb up on that second rope and do a moonsault was so mentally challenging and like it wasn't even a fear as much as it was just a doubt. It was like a big self-doubt and that I had to overcome. And so just then I remember my first match back was against Matt Seidel at
Oh,
an indie in Dallas, Texas. And so it's like you already put pressure on yourself when you're going against a independent wrestling legend and a
yeah.
guy as good as Matt Seidel as it is. So then to come back and I wasn't wearing uh shooter boots as we call them. I was wearing actual wrestling boots this time around just to have a little bit more protection on my foot and ankle. And so it was just like it was such a nerve-wracking experience trying to slowly do all the things that I used to do, and then having my first match back be against Matt, exemplified and amplified my nervousness even more. And so, luckily, the match went well, and slowly but surely, I regained my footing both mentally and physically.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to hear you're fully on the mend, as you say. You mentioned an interesting point actually about wanting to gain weight, which it can bring us a question that we've asked to a few wrestlers on the show. We find it quite interesting in terms of dietary stuff. Because obviously there's a difference between cutting and putting on when you're doing the wrestling. So as you're putting on weight, what type of calorie intake are you having there as a wrestler at that point? And what are you eating more so? Is it more protein, stuff at that side?
Yeah, mass gainer protein shake, not just protein shakes, but specifically calorie dense mass gainer protein shakes. I used to despise protein shakes, and I learned to almost like coffee or like alcohol to just get used to the taste of. I found a flavor that I could tolerate, and then I learned to love it. And it was just finding every which way. What can I add to it? How cold do I need to have it to make sure it was, how do I, what do I do to make this, consumable for me? And I managed to figure out my recipe and my mixture, and I just started downing protein shakes, man. I was just trying to put it as much calories and as much protein in my body as humanly possible, as well as being consistent in the gym. I feel like I was just inconsistent. I would go 3 or 4 times this week, and then I would skip a week, or then I would go 2 days, and and it was just like, Cody Rhodes stirred up a lot of controversy a while back talking about body shaming
Yes.
online. And it's true. I feel like, I just recently went back and watched my first match with Miro where they gave me the contract.
Yeah.
I cut a promo backstage afterwards that they put up on the AEW YouTube channel.
Did.
And I look at the size of my chest and arms and shoulders, and I am almost physically disgusted at myself. Like, no wonder it took them a year to sign me. Like, I looked like a little boy, and it's ridiculous. And if you want to be a TV star, you need to have a TV body. You need to look like you can hold your own in a serious fight outside of this. I get it, kayfabe, and it's a work, and we're telling stories and how you. But there needs to be. I tell people this all the time. Changing and transforming your body is the clearest and most um, absolute, undeniable evidence of hard work. You can't deny it. If someone goes and loses 100 pounds, it is as in your face as anything could be. If someone goes and puts on 30 pounds of muscle, it is in your face. You cannot deny that hard work was done. Now, of course, there's shortcuts with like Ozempic and steroids, of course, and people are going to find, if there's a shortcut to be had,
Yeah.
people will find shortcuts. But to deny that they set a goal and a mission to change their body and then they go and work hard at doing it, it cannot be denied. And so I knew if I could do that and try to, fix the weaknesses in my game that some people would, hold against me, I would, it would go a long way in a lot of people's eyes. And I feel like it did just that.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. Is there any sort of like, is it just protein shakes you go? Is it meats or anything like that? Do you normally eat as well with that?
Of course, I have a protein bowl that I eat every morning with bacon and eggs and protein and potatoes and cheese, as well as a cup of oatmeal as well. So it's like fine like that. I eat that every morning. I've ate that every morning almost for 2 years straight. Now, of course, you're on the
Oh,
road sometimes and things doesn't happen, but like maybe even longer than that. I found a cheap $2 protein bowl from a grocery store that I love. And I do not mind eating the same thing every day. I found a protein dense oatmeal that I love. So I start my day off with that every single morning, just immediately to try to get a head start on the calories. And with that, doing that, it kind of helps create a consistency throughout my day. My wife is great at making chicken and rice for me, and so much of it that is probably meal prep for the week. So I can do that, and then finding different ways to spice up your diet and not have the same thing every week, because people do grow tired of certain things. But like, luckily with my breakfast meal, I don't think I will ever grow tired of it. It's that good for me. So just having ways to switch up your diet and to really, like the same thing with the protein shakes, doing things that you like, figuring out a way and a structure that you really enjoy is the key to success. And then of course, schedule a cheat day every once in a while to make to really, give yourself something to look forward to and to reward your hard work.
How long would you say with that sort of cheat day? How long was it, like monthly, or was it kind of how you want to do it? Would you do it
Yeah.
monthly or something like
So
that?
I would do, because I would also try to work out about 6 days a week. So
Yes.
I would eat right 6 days a week as well. And then on the seventh day, I would reward myself with a cheat day. No workout, a rest day, and a cheat day. But I feel like some people wake up and they're not feeling good. So they just decide, oh, today's going to be a rest or cheat day. No, no, no. That's not how this works. You have to earn it, right? Because I feel like
Mhm.
that is lazy, and that is undisciplined, and you need to have some sort of discipline. If you really are serious about transforming your body, the main thing people do is they lack discipline. And I lacked discipline for like 7 years. And so when I finally developed a little bit of it, I realized just how much discipline can help change your body.
It's certainly kind of something that I need to look at. Discipline's my bugbear. That
I'm I've been great at like putting time in the ring. Like I said, I have a school and I would always go early and try to create new moves. I've been great at putting time in the ring. I love being the wrestler part of it. It's the gym squats and deadlifts on a Monday that I hate. And I feel like a lot of wrestlers hate that. And I've tried to, try to teach that. Hey, they say They say learning from your mistakes makes you a smart person. Learning from other people's mistakes makes you a wise person. You
Yeah.
know, it makes you a genius. And so I try to tell people to learn from my mistakes really young, start early, take it seriously. If you really want to be a great wrestler, you have to put the same time you put in the ring, in the gym, and in your diet as well. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's absolutely fine. I agree. I fully agree with that. I wanted to talk quickly before we get to GCW. I want to talk about your escapades over here. So you obviously work in Rev Pro. You've done a lot of Rev Pro events. Will Caven, Leon Slayton, Robbie X. Robbie X, good friend of the show, know him personally. So we'll get into that in a minute. But what did you, when you come over to the UK, your first Rev Pro? What did you learn a lot, or what did you learn most of about the wrestling over here in the UK?
You know, a lot of people said after NXT UK
Mm.
and the pandemic and speaking out that the UK scene was basically drained. It was drowned out. It was like all the top wrestlers got swooped up or canceled. Uh, and I got to see firsthand just how healthy and basically the revival of the UK wrestling scene and how many great wrestlers y'all have coming up or presently have right now firsthand. And I'd heard about the Michael Okus and the Luke Jacobs and the Leon Slaters and the Derises and the those guys of the world, and I got to see some of it when GCW would bring them over on WrestleMania weekends,
Yeah.
but like to see it firsthand, to step in the ring with it, it's beautiful to see the revival of the British scene, and I'm very happy that I got to go experience it firsthand. Also, pro wrestling is better with football chants, and I just, it's a little different. It's a little hard sometimes when you're trying to say you're in the middle of getting beat up and you want people to chant Fuego, but they're singing a song about your opponent being a bitch or whatever they decide to cheer at the time. But pro wrestling is better with football chants and singing more appropriate. I love that. That needs to be adopted by the American audiences more.
You definitely get a lot of that over here, that's for sure. I wanted to talk because you did have a match. I was just literally mentioning it right there. You had a match with Will Caven, Robbie X, Leon Slater. Obviously, Leon Slater now TNA in TNA, massive year ahead for him. Robbie
Robbie
X,
X in New Japan. Come
yeah,
on. Shout out Bullet Club.
yeah, just about to go there. Robbie X in New Japan. Will Caven, the cruiserweight champion over here in Rev Pro. But just going back to the Leon quite quickly. I mean, everyone I've asked, it's generally an easy question. But could you see with Leon when you were working with him? Could you just look over across the ring and go, "That guy's a star in the making," or kid?
I think when he's so smooth, he doesn't even realize the talent that he has compared to other people. It comes so natural to him that he doesn't even understand how good he really is right now. Uh, he's super humble, which is another quality that's great to have. But he's just so good. I did a bunch of like backyard wrestling that went semi-viral when in my younger days, and Leon come up to me and told me he used to watch me do backyard wrestling, and he was a fan of me for a long time, which is always dope, and I get it a lot nowadays. But then to like just to see him work and to see how smooth and good he is in the ring and feel it firsthand, it's almost insulting to me how he doesn't even realize how good he is and how naturally it comes to him and how much more difficult it is for other people to be able to attempt to do the moves that he can do with ease.
Yeah, it is ridiculous what he can do. I've seen him many a times, but Robbie X is another one. You mentioned him. He's only in New Japan right now. I just think like, and when I looked at Robbie X first thing, I saw him 2 or 3 years ago was the first time I got to see him, and when I was unwell, actually, he when I was ill, I had heart failure just before All In One, and he video called me from All In. Funnily enough, he was there with friends of the podcast. But anyway, go digress on. But when I see him. And I look at him and I think like I know he's in New Japan right now, but he's another one for me that I just think the sky's the limit for Robin. And I just think it's going to be 12 to 18 months time, maybe not maybe in New Japan, but maybe somewhere else. He's going to be signed somewhere and he's going to be off to the races.
I think, as opposed to Leon,
Mm.
there's some people that maybe it doesn't come as easy to, but they just work so incredibly hard that they can't be denied. And that's what I got from being in the ring with Robbie X. He is a machine. People don't realize how good his cardio is, how hard he goes, the difficulty of some of the moves that he's not only pulling off, but pulling off in sequences and succession over and over again, where a normal man would be blown up to smithereens and gasping and begging for their next breath. He does like it's nothing. And so that's what I got from him. And then after wrestling him, you start following him on social media more and you see how much he puts into his cardio and
Yeah.
his and it's just next level. And so that's what I definitely got from him. Of course, he's creative, can do all the moves as well, but like it's just the machine. Like it reminded me of like what people would talk about with Kurt Angle, of just how he's just go 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 nonstop, and you can see that in his work.
Yeah, you can. We'll see what happens to him. But I want to talk about your tag partner in GCW actually, because Mr. Stackhouse, I see quite recently because on the podcast we do NWA. And he not long ago was on an episode of NWA Power. He done this. I think it was a moonsault. I think he done. He's a big guy. I
Yes.
mean, he's a big old boy, and he done this crazy moonsault. But how did that all come about in GCW? If you working with Sam, because you fought him in GCW as well, didn't you?
I did. It was after we had teamed up a couple times. Me and Sam Stackhouse both live in Oklahoma. I'm not originally from Oklahoma, but I've been here now for nearly a decade. And me and Stackhouse are both from Oklahoma. And me and Sam wrestled each other in like at a multi-man ladder match in like 2015 or 2016, one of those dates. And he was like, "Hey, why don't you give me a reverse Rana?" I said, "What?" He's nearly 400 pounds at that time. And he's like, "Yeah, give me a." I was like, "You're gonna what?" He's like, "Also, I might set a ladder up on you or set up a ladder and put you on it. And then I'll moonsault on top of you. Just get out of the way." I said, "Hold on. Why are you doing this?" Like, first of all, and so like to see him firsthand, but there were a lot of people in Oklahoma giving him shit. People talking bad about saying, "You bump too much. You don't wrestle like a big guy. You don't need to be doing this stuff." Da 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 da. And there was a clip in like 2017, 2018, maybe even 2019 that went viral of him doing a somersault over the top rope through a guy through a table on the floor. And it looks like he murders this guy underneath him. That guy's a friend of mine as well. Completely fine, completely safe. But it went mega viral. People talking crap on it. The referee immediately goes and checks on Sam and not the guy that he just murdered. So people talking bad about the referee. Um, but Sam is literally might be the nicest human being on planet Earth. People just don't understand how much he loves wrestling and how humble he is. He thinks he never deserves any of the accolades that he has, when he should, at this point, realize his work speaks for himself. But Joey Janela saw that clip and thought, "Hey, why don't we bring this guy to GCW?" And so Matt Cardona pulls him out of the crowd, just like they've done it with a bunch of guys in the past. And he goes out there and he does dives and moonsaults and spin kicks and moves that a guy his size shouldn't do, or you would think not capable of doing. This is his words, not mine. He says, "I just have fat guy privilege," is what he says. He says, "I do moves that everybody else does, but because I'm 400 plus pounds, it goes viral." But recently, Billy Corgan saw how talented my friend is and has been booking him from multiple GCW dates. Only one of them has aired so far. But I think it's just a matter of time before Sam gets signed. Now, once he started going viral, once GCW started booking him, he would drive 7, 8, 10, 15, 20 hours by himself to get himself to GCW shows. And why I'm normally a fly guy, I said, if you're booking Sam, I will jump in the car with Sam. And me and him play video games together, and we quickly become best friends very fast. So we started teaming together, and we got to team up in GCW, and it's been a blast. And then I was supposed to wrestle Nick Gage on the show. Nick Gage was injured, so I did an open challenge, and Sam Stackhouse accepted it. So we got to have a fun match in GCW together. I think the man is extremely talented, and I think he deserves all the love and credit he's getting. And I think he should also accept a lot of the love and credit he's getting. And I'm glad someone like NWA has started to recognize his talent, and I've been thankful for GCW for recognizing his talent.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to see. I can't wait to see more of him in GCW and NWA. Funnily enough, GCW literally done a show in London yesterday at time of recording. That was
Yes.
well received from what I wasn't unfortunately couldn't make that one. But in terms of GCW, I mean they've got some talent there as well. I mean, Good Self is there, and there's so many as you mentioned like Cardona, Joey Janela, people like that. I think not in GCW, but I know you wrestled Casey Navarro as well, who's now at TNA. But in terms of GCW. Is there any barriers to what they can accomplish in terms of a promotion?
Is there barriers? I mean, there's definitely sponsors or TV companies that
Mm.
don't like the death match style.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So maybe that's a barrier, but they just sold out the Hammerstein Ballroom, And so no, as far as like how high they can take it, the only thing that's going to stop GCW is GCW. I say it all the time. They have the modern day spirit of ECW, right? You have great technical wrestling, just like you have the crazy spots, but right, they figure out a way to go viral every month, every week, and there's a clearly a space in wrestling for GCW to thrive and exist. A lot of great independent companies died due to COVID
Yep,
and the pandemic, right? There was
definitely.
like a hierarchy of great independent wrestling shows that had decades long worth of resumes that showed, hey, we're the top indie companies. And due to the pandemic, some of those companies died or got canceled and things of that nature. And GCW rose from the ashes and was the company that got ahead and kind of took over the mass top American indie market. There are a few companies just like GCW, under GCW, the Pro Wrestling Revolvers that Sammy
Yep.
Callahan has, the Defy, the West Coast Pro, the Deadlock Pro. There are like that are still up in the upper echelon of independent wrestling. But GCW travels every single weekend to a different town all over the globe.
Yep.
And so they have emerged as the top company. And as long as they keep doing what they're doing, and maybe, don't piss off other companies, which we've seen recently as well. I think there's no limit to how high they can go.
Think so. They sold out the Hammer. They sold out also the Electric Ballroom yesterday. Sorry, over in London. They had a great show with. I know Progress Wrestling are behind that. Progress Wrestling will help Defy as well. They work together. So, who, as you say, sky's the limit for them. Maybe don't piss people off a little bit, but hey ho, it is what it is in that sense. But wrestling school, Exoma Pro, I believe it is with you now. How did all that come about? And in terms of school, do you teach when you teach? You mentioned kind of the body and the kind of you mentioned there about if you really want to do stuff you do. But what do you teach these guys here that want to learn to wrestle? What is the main thing that you're looking for when you're teaching these guys?
Oh man. So originally I was gonna start my own school.
Mm.
There's a company called Texoma Pro Wrestling
Yep.
that was had a system about an hour south of me that would run independent shows. They were also interested in slowly starting a school, and they brought me in. They said, "What if we pay you to be our head trainer, and we'll give you a couple great independent guys to go along with you to help train, just in case you go do a London excursion or Japanese excursion. You don't have to leave, your school unattended." And I said, that's great. So I accepted that role. And then slowly, too long after that, D'Lo Brown come aboard as well to kind of help us out as well. So D'Lo Brown is in and out constantly helping with the school. My first and main goal is to teach you in ring safely
Mm.
fundamentals. Also, Oklahoma, where I teach, they have a bad habit of the trainers here let things slip through the crack and they rush guys into the ring too early. And I think that does bad for your independent promotions, and I think it does bad for your whole state's scene if you rush guys in. I think
Mm.
Oklahoma has a negative outlook. I feel people think, oh, Oklahoma is not a good place for independent wrestling because of the things that we've allowed over the years. And so my main goal was to change that. So that meant much longer training where some guys get rushed 2, 3, 4 months and have their first match. I have guys now that's been training 8, 9, 10 months who are pretty much ready. They're almost there, but I want to make sure that they have all facets of the game completely locked in. I pride myself on being a student of the game, of watching everything, of trying to understand everything, not only in-ring ability, but promo ability, not only promo ability, but presentation, not only how good your physique is, but how can we hide your physique with maybe a gimmick or great looking gear and things of that nature. I think where people allowed shortcuts in Oklahoma, I have decided to take the long road, but the more successful route. I think a lot of times people in Oklahoma think just because I've been wrestling for 8, 9, 10, 12 years, that quantity somehow equates to quality. And that's not the way you go. It's quality over quantity any day of the week. What are the quality of the promotions you're working? What are the quality of the opponents you're working? Uh, and that's most important. And I try to emphasize that. I think a lot of young guys, when they want to get into wrestling, they are naive to the wrestling business and to wrestling trainers. I remember I just wanted to get into a ring and I didn't care where it was at and who the trainer was. Sometimes you're just itching to get in the ring and they don't know that this guy might be taking advantage of them or may not have any prior experience in a sense of like I tell people all the time, if you want to go to a wrestling school, go somewhere that the trainer has been on TV
Yeah.
or has successfully trained people that have been on TV. There's some guys who maybe never made it to the big stage, but have a resume of getting guys to TV that you have to look at. And so I tell people those are the training schools that you need to attend because they have proven resumes of getting people to the top. And that's what you need to look for and go to. That's again a long-winded answer, but I want to make sure that my guys are great in all facets. I want them to debut and immediately already jump into the top echelon of the state's best wrestlers when they debut.
Excellent. So, and we've also, when you go there, because I remember you sort of said you was looking for a lot of things. Is it also camera positioning, sort of body language when you're in
Absolutely,
the ring as well?
absolutely, absolutely, man. I stress body language and being vocal. I think I go to independent shows now all the time. If you're in a room where you can yell and everybody in the room can hear you, you need to be using that.
Mm.
There's a reason we don't watch silent movies anymore because voice is the best way to help get your story across. So even just with your strikes and your move, like deep breaths, yeah, yeah, even with your selling, like sometimes I will audibly say, that hurts. Oh man, that hurts. Because it just helps get what we're trying to do across more. And so, especially with TV teaching, but like I tell people, we have to completely learn fundamentals before we can break off in fundamentals, right? You have to
Yeah.
learn wrestling 101 before you can learn pro wrestling 102. And so, you need to learn how to reverse a wrist lock the right way before you do the flipping nip up cartwheel over. You get what I'm saying? There's levels. Like first, learn it and get the fundamental way properly, and then we can divert off and do it a different way and innovate off of it and learn from that sense. So yes, the TV production side of I have a beginner's course, an intermediate course, and an advanced course. And the TV work, a lot of the TV work is in the advanced course.
Indeed. And if people wanting to go to that particular school, can they sign up anywhere? Is there a way they can go and?
Texoma Pro Wrestling Academy on Facebook is the best way to get a message back in response. If you're anywhere near southern Oklahoma, North Texas, or you just want to come and learn from some of the best, definitely message Texoma Pro Wrestling Academy on Facebook. That is the best way to sign up for the school.
If you're in that area, make sure you do. Fuego, before we start wrapping up, there's a couple of random questions to ask now.
All
And these are
good.
questions
Shoot.
they're interesting ones. They're ones that sometimes they stump wrestlers and they have to take some time. So there's an interesting one. The first one is what is your favorite wrestling theme song?
Ooh, ooh, I'm a sucker for something catchy and wild. And so, Ass Man, Billy Gunn's theme song, I can play on repeat. It has the innuendo and sometimes just blatantly in your face, sexual references that I find hilarious. So, Ass Man by Billy Gunn is probably the one that always comes to mind first.
You won't be surprised to say that you're the first wrestler that ever said that on this show. For that, there's two different parts to it though. There's the wrestling theme, but then there's an interesting one. It's who has got the best wrestling presentation from entrance music onwards.
Oh my God. Over the years, that's changed for me. You remember,
Mm.
babyface Finn Balor. has like this immediate,
Yeah.
Shinsuke when he debuted in WWE,
Mhm.
the Shield coming through the crowd. Ah, man, there's just like Bray Wyatt, the Fiend in
Yeah.
general. It's like it's hard to immediately say one right now that I feel like exemplifies what I feel like is the best overall presentation, but those four immediately jump to front of mind. Um, yeah, I would say those four, like the first four that I feel like. What about you? Do you have a favorite? Do you have one that comes to mind first?
Music wise is really difficult 'cause it depends on the mood. Like I'm a big fan of the game from Triple H and something like that. I
Oh my
love
God. The greatest water spitter in all of pro wrestling. Nobody spits water like Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
exactly. I mean, he's had quite a few. He's had My Time as well. On top of that, he
A
had the re
banger.
yeah, he had the remix with King of Kings as well. Edge, Adam Copeland. Yeah, everyone sings
Yeah,
that now. But
Metalingus. Come on now. It's
yeah,
great.
exactly. Presentation though, and he always gets me is because I was speaking to Matt Cardona about it because he actually experienced the whole thing in the ring when the gong goes off.
Oh my God. Iconic, right?
Yeah,
Talk about getting goosebumps.
it's
Uh,
exactly what he said.
Hearing that gong immediately elicits like this reaction, like this chemical reaction within your body. It's insane how one gong can do that to an arena full of people and so many people. They say music, the reason music is so connecting is because the vibrations of music
Mm,
almost links up your heartbeat. Like everybody in the room are feeling the same emotions and the same feeling, and it eases the energy or
yeah.
rises the energy in the room to where we're all feeling it at the same time. And so I think that's why music is so important in pro wrestling, and why that gong has such that guttural feeling that connects us all.
And the one before that was the LOD one with Hulk when he
Oh,
used to, start. But when you said talk about
what a rush.
exactly
Yes.
that, when we were talking about music, we had AEW's Mikey Ruckus on. And we were saying about the importance of that first note. And we've just mentioned it, the gong, the glass shatter, even the MJF bit at the start of,
Yeah.
because it
If you
gives you,
smell all these, yes.
yeah. And it's like how that, because you knew when the glass smash, chaos was going to happen,
Incredible.
you know. And it was just, you mentioned it there, the importance of pro, because it really is. It denotes the character as well, because the gong, death, here comes the dead man kind of thing changed when he was on the bike, obviously, but there was that
You
change
think
there.
about Glorious, how it affected Bobby Roode,
Yep.
and how good, like if you have an over theme song, it almost immediately makes you 30% better as a wrestler. It just does. It just
Yeah,
does.
it does. You're talking about Finn Balor. If you have you ever seen any of his work over here on the Indies?
Oh, of course, man. I was trying to think earlier. There was a Rev Pro match I watched of him versus it was a New Japan guy, maybe at the time, or maybe not. I can't remember it, but I remember it was maybe one of the first times he did the all black paint, and I remember watching that early on and be like, man, it was like if he could. He got signed to WWE, I was wondering, I was like, are they gonna be able to do that in WWE? And they took it to a level that was so good, man. It's crazy. Well, but go ahead, go continue your point.
Oh, because you mentioned about that, and he used to literally dress up. Like you mentioned about the paint, he done Jack the Ripper. He done
Yes.
something like the Silence of the Lambs film. He was so good at doing that. But you put that together with music, and you create magic before the bell goes off.
It almost give like there's a difference between being a pro wrestler and a pro wrestling star.
Yeah,
And you add that star making, like the presentation helps make you a star. The way you walk and talk and use that on the way to the ring, I feel like is really what takes you from being just a pro wrestler to a pro wrestling star. And he immediately understood that early on.
yeah, he certainly did. Final question before we wrap up is: what is your favorite wrestling pay-per-view? Doesn't have to be a certain year. Just the
Oh, it doesn't have to be a certain
no,
year.
no, no,
What
no, no.
I mean, I feel like the cop out answer is WrestleMania, right? It's
Yeah.
like it leads to the maybe Royal Rumble just because
Yep.
not only is it the Royal Rumble match and the surprises with that.
Yeah.
But they're like sleeper great matches on so many Royal Rumble cards. You think about the Brock, Seth Cena triple threat match.
Yeah.
Um, you think about, I mean, there's so many that already just jump to mind immediately that I enjoy from the Royal Rumble, and then even adding the female Royal Rumble has made it so much better. There's like a excitement with
Mm.
the Royal Rumble. You know, they used to say SummerSlam was the number two, and I never believed it was the number two. I always believed Royal Rumble was the number two.
Yeah.
So if the cop out answer is WrestleMania, then I'll say Royal Rumble is my real
No,
answer.
it's fine. You could have gone with either one. It was a different. Royal Rumble's my actually Royal Rumble's my one.
Oh
WrestleMania was
yeah,
my two.
hell
Yeah, I
yeah.
love it.
And then just to show some love to AEW,
Yes.
Revolution has in the years that Revolution has been a thing, it has
Yeah.
always been a great start to the year for AEW. So I love
Long,
Revolution.
long may that continue as well for AEW, I might add. But before I go into wrap up now, can you tell people, look, what you're allowed to announce that you've got coming up, and if anybody wants to inquire about a booking, where do they go?
Book Fuego DS at gmail.com. I got a ton of GCW dates coming up. I'm really ramping up things for WrestleMania weekend. I already have 5 different bookings for WrestleMania
Brilliant.
weekend, including GCW. Um, I will be making my debut in Toronto for Demand Lucha coming up, which I'm really excited about. Um, I will be going back for a couple shows at AEW next month. I don't know
Brilliant.
what I'll be doing. It might just be a dark match, it might be nothing. I just might be backstage. I'm excited about that. Um, but those, and then I have some major goals for myself in 2025, but like all of this really depends on WrestleMania weekend and what happens in the next 3 months. If I don't get re-signed in the next 3 months, I got 3 daughters. I feel like something has to change. Something major
Mhm.
in my life has to change in the next 3 months if I don't get re-signed. So I'll just tell people to be on the lookout for a major change in Fuego del Sol's career in the next 3 months.
There we go. You heard it here, folks. Fuego, look, we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for your time. We wish you all the success in 2025, and we look forward to seeing you sign that contract for a promotion, and we look forward to seeing you. Sky's the limit for you. So thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. Guys, coming up on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast, Rob Van Dam will be joining us very, very soon, as will Gangrel. Interview with the Vampire is coming up very, very soon on the channel, so don't miss that. And also a big shout out to Ignite Wrestling in the UK. They're home to our championship, Fuego. So if you ever want a championship opportunity, we're the guys to come to over in the UK. So don't
Hell
forget
yeah.
that. So don't forget that. But guys, until then, he's been Fuego del Sol. I have been your host, Adam Cousins, and you've been watching the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. And until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.